Another year, another summer, another presentation of all the great shit we're gonna be expecting for the next year or two when it comes to gaming. Honestly, the Summer Games Fest for me is, it doesn't hit the same as E3 did long ago. Maybe because E3 felt like this unique event where every gamer known to man just congregated to the Staples Center in LA, and we witnessed the best of the industry trying to go at it to see which ones would catch our attention, and some great shit was introduced to all of us back in those days. I remember when Fallout New Vegas was first introduced at E3. That was a memory I definitely will never forget back in my younger days. You know, getting on online and getting all excited to see, ooh, I wonder what the new games are gonna be for this year. Summer Games Fest just doesn't hit the same. But I mean, hey, at least it condensed all of these announcements into one thing, and that was it. But no, the main thing that I wanna touch on here is the concept of voting with your wallet. It is a concept I hear thrown around quite often, and I honestly will never understand people who repeatedly say the phrase, vote with your wallet, vote with your wallet. We'll get the publishers and the developers to do what we want if we vote with our wallets. Time and time again, I have noticed that gamers, as one myself, are some of the worst people on earth when it comes to following the phrase, vote with your wallets to a T. One day they will say, I will not support this game or this system or this whatever thing, and then pretty soon they cave into the peer pressure that is the internet, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yes, let me just, make it rain on Nintendo for the Switch 2, or make it rain on Activision for Black Ops 7, even though everybody I'm hearing on the internet's like, Black Ops 7 looks like it's not gonna be anything special. God damn it, Activision, why did you give us garbage? We just got through BO6. Now, me personally, I'm not even remotely that excited for BO7. I guess I'm excited for the campaign, which is the only thing I can look forward to at this point in Call of Duty, but I sure as hell am not excited for the multiplayer after hearing about and seeing what is the beautiful monstrosity that is Black Ops 6. But the whole idea of voting with your wallets, ladies and gentlemen, let's just be honest with ourselves. No, nobody is ever going to really vote with their wallets. I think the only time I can genuinely say I've ever seen gamers actually go, yes, I will actually vote with my wallet and not support these things because I don't like them in any way, shape, or form, was when gamers collectively agreed that DEI and woke shit in games was not really liked by anyone, and nobody asked for this crap, and nobody bought any of that shit. So a lot of those game developers and studios that made those shit games ended up getting poor sales, and a lot of those companies went belly up. So, that's one of those rare instances where voting with your wallets works. The problem is that, while we may not be in favor of games having weird pandering and weird preaching of stupid ideas and shit, at the same time, we seem to be really in favor of games saying, I'm gonna charge up the ass for microtransactions for like, let's say a glowy anime skin on a gun in Call of Duty, or I'm gonna charge you an insane amount of money for what is essentially a Mario Kart console. It's a much more powerful console than the previous Nintendo system, which is just the Switch. The Switch 2 is a much more powerful Switch. It can run Fortnite now. That's the nice part. Especially because Fortnite looked like ass on the original Switch. Then again, Fortnite was trying. The old Switch was chugging to try and run Fortnite, which is quite sad, really. But hey, the Switch 2 can run Fortnite, and it's got its own Mario Kart. Don't forget that it's got its own Mario Kart and Cyberpunk 2077, the game everybody fucking owns by now, probably. Either you own it on console or you own it on PC. In my case, I own the damn game on PC. So, the Switch 2 is one of those cases where I've heard so many people say, I don't want to buy this thing. It's Nintendo trying to do a mindless cash grab. They're trying to ruin the goodwill that the community have given to this company for years and blah blah blah, and they're overcharging for this system, and people still bought it. And it's doing quite well in sales, actually. So, again, the idea of vote with your wallets worked really well for eliminating woke DEI bullshit games, and I'm happy for that. But as a gamer, I'm still annoyed that it doesn't work at all when the company wants to screw you over and overcharge you for shit. And then tell you, hey, like, we have this one perfect example I can think of is, let's say there's a new game released. And this is kind of piggybacking off what I said in my sexual content and violence in games vid, where when you have a game that comes out, and the game has, let's say it's something like I don't know, The First Descendant, for example. I've played The First Descendant, and, you know, I like the whole style of the game. You know, I don't mind the skimpy outfit characters at all. It's just that it's not my type of game. I can't get into looter shooters for shit. Only thing I could actually play that was a looter shooter that interested me was Borderlands. Well, specifically Borderlands 2. Borderlands 3, the gunplay is great. The story makes me want to jump off a cliff. But no, the First Descendant in this case, when it comes to microtransactions, and a lot of these games where it's like really skimpy characters, that, you know, the game will be like, look, we have a game where you can have like a third-person shooter, first-person shooter, and we have skimpy skins in the game. You know, don't you guys love the skimpy skins? And there's always going to be some dumbass that says, I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money on this because you're charging me like $100 for a half-naked woman with a gun. And then give it about a day or two later after the skin is finally released, and they're like, me dump $100 for skimpy skin because I see skin popular on internet. Oh god. Now look, let me just be honest. I guess I'm kind of guilty of spending my money on things where I told myself that I would not spend my money on these things, and I guess I kind of fall victim to that. But I've been pretty good on following the I vote with my wallet concept. You know, ever since we've gone past the 7th generation, once we got into the 8th generation of games, I did not buy any of those. I did not buy any of those consoles at all. I didn't own a PS4 or an Xbox One or even a PS5 or a Series X. Didn't own a Switch, and I certainly as all hell I'm not gonna own, you know, the Switch 2. I honestly, you know, I don't see the reason why I would want to buy these things. You know, I have a PC. A PC is all I really need. I did kind of cave in and buy a Steam Deck when that came out, and I have the Steam Deck right next to me. Still a great system. I do struggle to find, you know, uses for it sometimes, but other times when I just don't feel like booting up my PC, it's a great system. But again, I do say, for the most part, I can say that even someone like me who's done a sort of decent job of caving into the whole nature of I will definitely buy the game product or service that's definitely trying to screw me over, but word of mouth on the internet convinced me to buy it. I managed to avoid caving into the peer pressure of buying these things, because I realized at the end of the day, if I buy these things, I'm only going to enjoy it for maybe like a day or two, and then have that buyer's remorse. I'm going to go, why in the hell did I spend my money on this thing? Or this game, or this service that I just don't use. And I guess my biggest case of falling victim to that is my Steam library, or the amount of skins I have in Fortnite, or the fact that I've dumped some money on COD Mobile for a Lizzie and a 2B skin. But you know, on the upside though, never spent a cent on Genshin or Zenless, so I feel great about that. But again, telling ourselves that vote with your wallets, the companies will understand us. Okay, they seem to have understood us for the woke DEI slop games. They don't seem to be getting the message when it comes to you know, shitty microtransaction practices and overcharging for shit that, you know, used to not cost that much a couple years ago. They didn't seem to get that message, because and I guarantee you when GTA 6 comes out, GTA 6 could be $100. I hope to God it's not $100, because that would suck. But if it is $100 on release, there are going to be people who are going to still line up and be like, I don't care if it's $100, I'm still gonna drop that bank on GTA 6 because I have waited so many years since GTA 5 to get my hands on GTA 6. And I will experience this game in all of its glory. And, well, again, all the power to you. It's your money. Spend it however you want. I'm just saying, if you're somebody who's gonna say, don't buy the game, you must vote with your wallets, and I too will look. Me trying to tell people to vote with their wallets is retarded, because I know very well, I have not been very good at voting with my wallet in certain instances. I've done a pretty good job of it in other instances, but in some other instances, I didn't. Okay, we are. When it comes to, like I said, gamers, we're a pretty bad people when it comes to following the notion of voting with your wallet. Because honestly, we're not good at voting with our wallets. For some of us, this may be the one thing that we actually splurge on when it comes to our earnings from our jobs. Now, in my case, this and nerd shit is what I would describe it. Are the things I splurge on. Aside from that, I don't splurge on really pretty much anything else. Maybe I guess food and, well, I mean, technically my car doesn't really count as a splurge. It counts as, an expense. But occasionally I may splurge on something for my whip. So, for the whip. But, for the most part, it's usually nerd shit and games. Because these are things that I like splurging on, and occasionally, sometimes when I see something, because I told myself, for example, in COD Mobile, I told myself when the 2B skin dropped, I'm not feeling the 2B skin. I don't like how the 2B skin kind of looks in this game. She looks kind of off, and lo and behold, I still ended up buying COD points to get the skin. And the gun, because if I have the skin, might as well get the gun. I already did it for Lizzie, might as well do it for 2B, why not? But, no, like, we are not very good at adhering to voting with our wallets. Like, ladies and gentlemen, let's just be honest. If you say vote with your wallet, pretty soon, maybe there's some of you who will actually vote with your wallet. I voted for my wallet when I was not happy about the PS5 and the Xbox Series X or any of these things. I guess the only modern console thing I actually subscribe to, I guess, is my Xbox Series X controller, but I needed one of these for my PC because it made it a lot easier to connect my controller to my PC to play games on my PC that required a controller. But that's completely different. I didn't actually go out and buy an Xbox Series X. I don't have any use for this thing. I don't have any use for a PS5 either. In fact, I hate the PS5 and the Series X. But the Switch 2, honestly, like, look, if you want to buy a Switch 2, by all means, buy the Switch 2. If you're going to tell other people to not buy the Switch 2 because you think it's not a very powerful console, it's not worth it, and I do agree, it's not a very special console. I personally don't think it's worth it, and I personally don't see myself ever buying one, because for my uses of what I would get out of for my use out of a Switch 2, I really won't use the system much. What am I going to use it for? Fortnite? I mean, I have a computer. I can play Fortnite on my computer. Hell, my phone's an Android that can run COD Mobile pretty well. I can run Fortnite pretty well on my phone, too. It's a little jank, but I can still run it. I really don't need a Switch 2. And on top of all that, to me, personally, it's one of those things where I'm like, do I really want to spend my money on this thing that I know I'm not going to really utilize? Like the Steam Deck, for example, I spent my money on it. I'm still trying to fully figure out how to utilize it. Sometimes I have to get myself to, actually turn this thing on and do something with it. Usually it ends up just me browsing the library and playing an emulator game, and then playing the emulator game for like maybe an hour or two, getting bored, and then playing some indie title I have on my Steam library. Or just going through desktop mode and dicking around with Linux settings. But, no, like, do I still think the Steam Deck is a great system? Yes. It's a great system, and I definitely recommend, if you're interested in buying one of these handheld PC laptop-y things, then by all means buy one of these things. They're pretty good. I recommend them. It's just that the use I've gotten out of the Steam Deck has been very minimal, but I still try to find good uses for it. I spend my money on this system. Might as well get my money's worth for it and find cool shit to do with it. But no, like if you're gonna if you're gonna if you're gonna try and follow the idea of voting with your wallet, look, if you personally want the thing, just get the thing. Yes, I know that's feeding into this horrible mindset and this horrible practice that the industry has, where they're like, yes, we will continue to butt fuck you every single year with shitty price hikes and overcharging for services and games and microtransactions and all that crap. We're gonna continue with this because, well, people are buying it. We see people are buying it. Might as well keep pushing it out. Look, I almost convinced myself to buy the Chun-Li Juno skin in Overwatch 2 about a week ago, and then I paused myself for a minute and thought to myself, wait a minute, I don't play Juno. I don't even play Overwatch 2 that much. I like Chun-Li, but that's about it. Why would I buy a skin for a character I don't play as in a game I don't play that often? So at that point, I brought myself back down to earth and told myself, yeah, I don't really need it. So, that's how I came to my conclusion on that. But maybe for other people that may not have been the conclusion. Some people, and for lack of a better term, are kind of weak-willed. And again, I can't tell myself that I'm not weak-willed, because I'm weak-willed in things like Fortnite or things like my Steam library or even sometimes COD Mobile. But for the most part, unless it's some character I absolutely recognize or I like the design of the character, something like that, or something from some big name IP or whatever, then I would probably consider spending the money on the COD points to get said character. But for the most part, I've been pretty good on not spending money on COD points, because spending money on COD points is an unpleasant experience on those lucky draws. Anyone who's played COD Mobile will understand what I mean by that. Or yeah. But voting with your wallet, it's one of the ideas of all time that never actually gets. A lot of people preach it, but they don't actually practice it. And again, if you're gonna preach it, practice it. If you're not gonna actually practice it, then just be real with yourself. Why on earth would you actually preach to vote with your wallet and not give these companies money if you're gonna end up doing it anyways? Just do what you want to do, honestly. It feeds into this crappy vicious cycle of companies increasing the prices and screwing you over more and more. But if people are still doing it, I guess, if people are still buying into it, who am I to tell people what they can and can't spend their money on? I can, advise, for me personally, if I'm gonna tell somebody, don't buy the Switch 2 because I don't think it's a worthy investment, I at least can sleep easy at night knowing that I didn't, actually spend my own money on the Switch 2 because I have no use for the Switch 2 anyways. But some other people, that may not be the case. They may walk into like a Best Buy or a GameStop or something, see the Switch 2 right there, and they're immediately, they start dripping the sweat as they're staring at this thing. It's like, I got the money for it, might as well spend the money on it, ooh, and then they end up walking outside of the store with a Switch 2 that they literally said they weren't gonna buy. But no, if that's the thing, it's a sad reality of the modern gaming industry, and a sad reality, I guess, of consumerism in general. You say you won't buy the thing that people are saying is bad or it's not very good, and at the end of the day you end up buying the thing, and whether or not you liked it, that's really up to you, but you still spent your money on the thing. So essentially you indirectly, well, not really indirectly, you directly supported the creation of this type of thing, or the continuation of these kinds of crappy practices in consumerism and capitalism as a whole. And I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, who am I to stop you? I can only advise and say, I don't recommend spending your money on this thing because, this is not a very smart or worthy investment. But if you deem it a worthy investment for you, then by all means, big guy, go for it. And invest to your heart's content. Buy that thing that is definitely not a very good investment. You are the master of your own domain. And if you feel that mastering your own domain is spending an exorbitant amount of money on cosmetics in a video game, or buying the latest Nintendo thing that's out there, then again, by all means, go for it. You know, you truly, you know, are you are in control. You're a big boy. You can make your own decisions. And if you chose to buy that, you know, despite knowing that it's not a very good investment, and telling yourself, I won't give another cent or another inch to this company that I don't agree with, I don't know what to tell you at that point. Anyways, that was my 2 cents on the whole thing of voting with your wallet. I just want to get that off my chest. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a great day or evening or whatever. Peace.